Hey, Russia is now finally unleashing the big weapons. So Russia's not messing around anymore, just to let you know. Russia-Ukraine war live. U.S. and UN condemn brutality and escalation after deadly wave of missile strikes across Ukraine. So Ukraine should negotiate a peace deal, and that they almost had one last March. And then NATO, Joe Biden, and Boris Johnson stopped Zelensky from having a peace deal with Russia. So we all know how this is ending. We all know the Donbass is going to be annexed into Russia or it will be independent. That's what's happening. Ukraine is going to have to give up the territory that they've been bombing for the last 8 years, killing Russian-speaking people in the eastern part of Ukraine. They're going to have to give that up. We all know that's going to happen. So now what the United States, Joe Biden, and NATO are doing is making the people in Ukraine sacrificial lambs. They're cannon fodder so we can launch a proxy war to try to damage Russia's economy. That's what this is all about. This is so the United States can sell more liquefied natural gas to Europe. That's what, and they can launder billions and hundreds of billions of dollars through Ukraine. That's what this is. That's what this is about. Your country, the United States, is run by international fucking terrorist criminals. Joe Biden is a terrorist criminal. He's got way more blood on his hands than any terrorist organization you can think of. And this is because of Joe Biden. You're going to say, no, Russia did that. No, Russia wanted a peace deal, and Joe Biden and NATO stopped it. And we all know there's got to be a peace deal. We all know how this war is going to end. And Joe Biden and the United States media don't give a shit because they want more of this. They think that somehow Ukraine's going to beat Russia. That's not happening.
It will if we do a preemptive nuclear strike.
Yeah, right? So here's a summary of what's been going on lately. This is 9 p.m. in Kyiv. Here's where we stand. At least 11 people are reported to have been killed and scores more injured after Russia launched a massive wave of strikes targeting cities across Ukraine. Many of the locations hit by cruise missiles and kamikaze drones in the midst of the morning rush hour appeared to be solely civilian sites or key pieces of infrastructure, including the country's electric grid, apparently chosen to terrorize Ukrainians. 6 people were killed and 51 more injured in Monday's strikes in Kyiv. So when he bombs their infrastructure, like their electric grid, that's Russia being terrorists. When we did it in Iraq or Syria or Afghanistan or Somalia, that's us being freedom fighters, just so you know. President Vladimir Putin said the wave of strikes on Ukraine was a response to an attack on the Kerch Bridge linking Russia and Crimea. The Russian leader warned of even more severe retaliation in the event of further Ukrainian attacks. Let there be no doubt, Putin said in a televised comments addressed to his Security Council, if attempts at terrorist attacks continue, the response from Russia will be severe. So they're not. They were approaching this war. I've seen other military advisors, like Colonel McGregor, saying that Russia had been using a light touch in Ukraine. They're not doing that anymore. Doesn't look like they're doing that anymore. It looks like Russia's like, okay, you don't want to negotiate, you don't want a peace deal, you want to bomb our bridge connecting Crimea to Russia. All right, gloves are off, no more light touch. We're going to take out your electrical grid.
I don't understand how the message that's going out that one, Russia's like the deadliest enemy in the world, you know, and then at the same time they act like, and they're just about to be pushed over any second.
Right.
How does that add up?
It doesn't, Kurt. You caught an inconsistency in their argument.
I mean, if I find out they're selling group tickets on top of this.
Jesus.
It's incongruent is what I'm saying.
The Belarus president, Alexander Lukashenko, said Belarus and Russia would deploy a joint military task force on the country's western borders in response to what he called an aggravation of tension. The two countries had started pulling forces together 2 days ago, apparently after the explosion of Russia's bridge to Crimea. Lushenko was quoted as saying, Poland has released guidance advising its citizens in Belarus to leave the country. Shit's getting real. Ukraine's emergency service said nearly 100 people were wounded in the morning rush hour attacks that Russia launched from the air, sea, and land against at least 14 regions, spanning from Lviv to the west to Kyiv in the east. Many of the attacks occurred far from the war's front lines. So Russia's using their long-range missiles, which Ukraine doesn't have. Though Russia said missiles targeted military and energy facilities, some struck civilian areas while people were heading to work and school. One hit a playground in downtown Kyiv and another struck a university. The attacks plunged much of the country into a blackout. Much of Ukraine was blacked out because Russia is going to win this war. That's why. And you know who's going to pay the price? The people of Ukraine. It's real now. Now they don't even have power.
Well, the brave people of Ukraine will fight to the last man. That's what I... It's maniacs.
This is the kind of homicidal maniacs we have running NATO and the United States. The attacks plunged much of Ukraine into a blackout. Do you want to keep going like this, or you want to have a negotiation? Depriving hundreds of thousands of people of electricity into Monday night and creating a shortage so severe, Ukrainian authorities asked people to conserve and announced that they will stop power exports to Europe starting on Tuesday. Okay. I can't believe the people of Ukraine are putting up with this. I can't believe the people of Ukraine are demanding that their own government negotiate a peace deal with fucking Russia and get rid of the goddamn Donbass. Let it go. You guys bomb the shit out of it anyway. What do you care what happens to the Donbass? That's the thing I don't get.
They've been sending people house to house. If you said some stuff like that, something will happen to you.
Yeah.
I forget what the group's called.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So if you
that's why, I mean,
right.
I'm sure people say all kinds of stuff, then they better keep their trap shut.
So Russia is not messing around anymore. It's getting really ugly for the Ukrainian people. And now winter's coming, and Russia can knock out their power anytime they want. Ukraine can't do it. Can't do that. So now the people of Ukraine are in misery, and now the people in Germany and Europe are going to be in misery because of energy shortages and energy skyrocketing prices.
But you can find a TikTok of someone just burning Russian natural gas in an oven all day because they have so much of it.
And this is all because the United States are imperialistic maniacs who want to sell more liquefied natural gas to Europe, and that's what this is about. Read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. If you ever want to know what the U.S. military is really used for, they are sent around the world at the behest of capitalists to steal natural resources and for economic reasons. That's why they're sent places. They're not sent places to help people. Now who's being naive, Kay? So here's Julian Assange to let you know what the Ukraine war is really about. He's not talking about the Ukraine war, but it's the same thing.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan, and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
So, same thing in Ukraine. The goal is not to have a successful war because we know there's not going to be one. The goal is to drag this war out as long as possible because then we can funnel hundreds of billions of more dollars corruptly and launder it through Ukraine. That's all this is. We're doing stand-up comedy in Virginia Beach, Richmond, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia, San Jose, California, Miami, Florida, West Palm Beach, Denver, Palm Springs, Austin, Texas. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets. And while you're there, join our premium program. You get to see my new stand-up special coming out.